Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another spectacular episode of The Better View. I don't know what we're going to talk about tonight because the news is just so gosh darn boring, but I'm your host, Tracy Belmonte, and I'm joined tonight by my squad. First up, Brianna Dilley. How are you this fine day?
Hey, Tracy. I'm great. I'm stoked to be here. How are you?
I'm doing well. I may have to buy a new car at some point in the next few days, but I'm trying to look at it as an optimistic purchase.
Yeah, new car. That's exciting, right? I mean, that's a good thing.
I just hate dealing with the car dealerships. You're captive there for 7 hours with donuts. I'm going to binge. Stress eating. I'm going to binge everybody.
Stress eat the donuts.
Now, also joining us tonight is Deanna Lorraine. How are you, Deanna? Any stress eating donuts in your future?
Yeah, but see, I stress eat on like cheeseburgers. I'm much more of like I'll have a cheeseburger or like a big spaghetti plate or something instead of donuts for some reason. That's sort of my
carbs.
Yeah, I love the carbs. I like the savory. It's only once in a blue moon that I'm like, I want a donut.
Yeah, there's very few things that I won't eat because, I mean, red beans and rice didn't miss me. Thank you, Sir Mix-a-Lot, for that very famous line. I honestly don't know what we're going to talk about. The news has been so boring, but why don't we start with the big news that came out recently about Nikki Haley. She resigned her position as the UN ambassador, which was pretty shocking considering the claim is that she told the president she was going to leave about 6 months ago. And you don't keep secrets like that in Washington. So, there are two camps out there, and one is that Haley is a swamp creature. And the other is the camp that I fall into, that I think she made some sort of deal with Trump for bigger and better opportunities. So, Rihanna, what do you think?
I'm not really in either camp. I'm kind of indifferent to Nikki Haley because I do remember when she was a never Trumper, and I remember how forgettable she was before Trump. But, on the other hand, she has kind of rose to the occasion under this administration. So I kind of feel like maybe she resigned because her position is becoming a little bit less relevant with all of the things we're pulling out of the UN. She did say she's not running in 2020, and in fact says she may even campaign for Trump, which the way she kind of stuttered when she said it, I don't know that that's even true either. So I'm a little mystified. I don't really know where she's going or what she's doing, or why now she chose to announce her resignation.
It's a little strange before the midterms, and that's why my wheels were turning that maybe, and the internet seemed to run away with different conspiracy theories, but mine was that maybe Lindsey Graham could be the replacement AG because it looks like, Trump isn't happy with Sessions. Maybe Lindsey would be replacing Rod Rosenstein, who knows, and that Nikki Haley would take Lindsey Graham's Senate seat because I think Nikki Haley has ambitions for political office and president in the future, in the distant future, mind you, not 2020. So what do you think, Deanna?
I'll be honest with you too. I actually got more of a swamp creature vibe from her from the beginning of when she took this position. There were certain things I didn't like. I felt like she was parroting the same media talking points, right, that the swamp was parroting, just things about, Russia, just punish Russia as harshly as possible. Putin is not our friend. I felt like she kept on sort of parroting those same media points, which I'm always suspicious of whenever the media says to hate a certain leader or embrace a certain leader or do X, Y, and Z. And I felt like she was still parroting those kinds of things. And same with, embracing the United Nations or the Paris Accord Agreement. And so I actually always sort of had my guard up about her, wondering if she could be part of the swamp. And maybe that's why he's letting her go. Maybe he's letting her go with dignity. But I'm really, really not sure. I'm really curious and waiting with bated breath on who might be a better replacement for her.
Yeah, and we're going to be right back. And we're going to talk about that because I have some theories about who would be a great replacement. Stay with us. welcome back to The Better View. So when we took our break, we were talking about Nikki Haley resigning her position as UN ambassador and who could possibly be her replacement. Now, for me, my favorite would be Richard Grenell. And the reason is not only is he highly qualified, because, I mean, he's sort of been in the UN and had ambassadorships for a really long time with the Bush White House. But my whole thing with Richard Grenell is because he's a gay man, I would really like to see a gay man stick it to the UN, if we're going to stay in the UN at all, because ideally I would love for us to pull out of the UN, because it just seems like all the UN is fighting everyone but Israel. So what do you think, Brianna?
Oh, I would rather let's get out of it.
Oh, see,
so confusing. I'm sorry.
Well, we'll start with Rihanna first, and then we'll go over to you, Deanna. Get your thoughts. Go ahead, Rihanna.
Me?
Riri.
Okay. Sorry, Deanna.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. What was your question, Tracy?
Who do you think that could be a good replacement?
You know, I've kind of been brainstorming on that today, and the more I think about it, the more I think that the position might honestly be irrelevant. I don't know if they're going to replace her, or maybe they are, and maybe that's the announcement that's coming out. I don't really know. Grenell might be a good pick because he has some experience there, like you said. Yeah, I don't really know who. I just kind of have this feeling like we might not get another one.
It'd be interesting if we pulled that. I would love that. I mean, I've heard talk of Ivanka too, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. What do you think, Deanna? No, I don't think that's going to happen.
My personal decision too, I would love for us to back out of it because I feel that the United Nations is corrupt. And my feeling is that it is irrelevant. And I don't think that we really, as America, if we are a strong nation, we're doing our job to maintain strong international relationships with our allies, and we are doing our job as a country, then I don't really think that we need the United Nations. United Nations, for me, appears like it's a little bit more overreach and more geared towards turning the world towards globalism rather than nationalism for each country. So to me, and call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I feel like there's a bit more, I don't see the United Nations as something that is really, truly helpful for America for the long run. And so I would love for if we got rid of it. And who could potentially run it if we don't get rid of it or if we don't pull out of it? My answer to every question this week is just going to be Lindsey Graham because he's just so bad.
He's mine. I've already told you that. I just swear I would love.
I love him right now. He's on fire. I'm like, you're so sexy, Lindsey Graham.
I swear I would love to see Grenell get it just because I want to see him push around countries like Iran that kill gay men for sport. It just would just be such karma. I would love to see it, but. Well, we finally, speaking of Lindsey Graham, and thanks in part to Lindsey Graham, we finally have a new Supreme Court Justice. Congratulations, Justice Kavanaugh. Justice Brett Kavanaugh took the judicial oath as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court on Monday at the White House, which was quite unprecedented, and it's been talked about a lot. Did either one of you see the confirmation last night?
Yes. It was beautiful. Yeah. I loved what President Trump said. I love that that was one of his most beautiful speeches. He gives a lot of great speeches, but I just loved that. When he showed up last night and also at the rally on Saturday night, I noticed a bit of a difference about Trump that you can tell he was so pissed off and same with the Republican Party in general in the last week. It's like they're fighting and they have been through so much in the last few weeks and they're righteously mad and righteously feel like they have fought for this man tooth and nail and it is deserved. I loved the presence about Trump and I love the presence about Kavanaugh last week. It was just really like, yes, we are fighting for this position and we are right. We're tired of all these baseless accusations and these smears and it's not going to win. We've defeated them. They did this 11th hour smear and whole character assassination. And I just love that we defeated them. It was a beautiful speech, a beautiful moment. And it was so symbolic, I think, of just so much more than just Kavanaugh being confirmed, but what it means that we fought back and we ended up winning. It was a long shot. A lot of us thought, and I was in Washington, D.C. the last 2 weeks, and there were people close to this confirmation process that I was talking to throughout the week, and they were dead set that he was gone, that he had been too tainted, he had been destroyed, that he wasn't going to get confirmed. So I love this long shot. It was like God just intervened and stepped in and performed another miracle, and everyone was celebrating in D.C. that day.
Yeah, any other president would never have backed their nominee after going through all of this. But the left wasn't counting on President Trump, who was going to back him no matter what. He knew he was an innocent man. But the Democrats were playing their usual games, which don't work on somebody like Donald Trump, who's really not a politician, even though we elected him to be president. So I felt like it was a lot of sweet vindication to watch him take that oath in the White House. Now, my question is, Rihanna, how do you think this affects the midterms, or does it? Will it wear off? Because every other day there's a new story revolving around President Trump. So will it wear off by November 6th?
Absolutely not. This was a really catalyst moment, and I think that it's had a huge impact on November. I don't even think that's debatable. I think that the fact that, like you said, that any other president would not have backed this nominee. They would have thought this is too tainted. It's gone too far. We need to start over with somebody else. But Trump didn't, and they didn't count on that, like you said. And the people were just watching with bated breath to see who was going to win this fight. And this time it was us. We finally grew a spine. We finally stood up to them. We finally beat them at their own game, just like we did in the elections in 2016. And that really fired up the base. And the injustice against him leading up to that really fired up the base. I don't think that's going away anytime soon. That was like a Super Bowl championship. You don't forget that. Like, once you win that, you go on like, we're going to keep winning. I mean, the base is really fired up, and it's really growing. Republican approval is still at an all-time high right now. And it's really going to show in the midterms. I don't think it's going to be forgotten, even though there's a lot new stuff going on in the news right now. That was a big deal. That was historical.
I agree with you. I think this is going to have a lasting impression because it was just so vile and so raw. And it's not even just on our side on the right. It's the independents. And I even know some Democrats who didn't appreciate the way this was played, because not only was Brett Kavanaugh played, this Dr. Ford, who I believe has some mental issues, she was played as well. And speaking of Dr. Ford, her attorneys have stated that she wishes to end this and not pursue any charges, not go to the police and report the incident. So, Deanna, what does that tell you? And by the way, does she get investigated for possibly making up a story and lying?
It's all fake news. It's still me stuff.
It's fake news. That's why. I feel like what she did just shows you if she was this traumatized. I had to throw
Sorry, I love that.
Perfect.
And we have Trump in the presence as well. It was 36 years, right? And if she was this traumatized, and I feel sorry for her, what kind of a life do you live it for 36 years when you can't, you're that traumatized? But this traumatized, and you don't even pursue it afterwards. Okay, so that's all she's got, right? I mean, it just shows you that the whole thing was cooked, I think, and it wasn't, and if it happened, it wasn't that big of a deal, or it didn't actually happen to her. And I think that it just shows just how low that they will sink. We're righteous about being upset about this. We are righteously feeling that she was cooking this whole thing up. Sorry.
Is Trump calling you right now? Is the president on the line?
I think he's calling me. I can hear him. So, yeah. And I think that it just shows how shameless they are. So many things about this did not smell right. There were so many different holes in the story. And the fact that she is just dropping the case afterwards, just like everyone else, Anita Hill, she dropped it after her. How many people were accused, how many Republicans were accused of sexual harassment this year? And then immediately after they resigned, the cases were just dropped, right?
Yeah,
where are all these traumatized women? And it is, again, it's very vindicating. I think the whole thing, I look over her testimony sometimes and the questions she answered, and it gives me the creeps actually listening to her and watching her, because it doesn't take a massive body image expert to see all the little tells that she's lying. you know, and it just does not speak of someone who is that traumatized. It looks like someone who's an actress and who's acting.
Yeah, and now the Democrats, their big spiel is, oh, we're going to keep pursuing Justice Kavanaugh, and we're going to go for impeachment, which is impossible. It's impossible to impeach. I mean, it's possible, but it's very,
That's
very
all
difficult.
they got, though. It's all they're running on.
It's a
pipe dream.
ploy.
It's an impeachment's a pipe dream.
It's a fundraising ploy. And as usual, the Democrats take everything too far. Like, they didn't like President Trump's tough stance on immigration, so they call for the abolishment of ICE. So now they don't like a conservative majority on the Supreme Court, and they're calling for Kavanaugh's impeachment. You know, first of all, there's no bribery or high crime that was committed by Kavanaugh while he was sitting on the bench for his, whopping day or two. Yeah. So, I mean, you can't go after him for an allegation that is 36 years old, that there's not even a police report, there's nothing, no attorney in the right mind, no DA would bring that case. I mean, it's just another fundraising ploy, and to pursue this would be detrimental not only to this country, to the highest court in the land, but to this country. It's just enough. So how do we heal? Rihanna, how do we heal? Where do we go?
Well, this is, I mean, all out culture war, which is why I said I don't think anybody's going to forget anytime soon what happened here with Kavanaugh, and we'll still be fired up in November. It's very obviously a culture war. The only way to go from here is we have to win. We cannot let them ever have power back or ever have our country back, because we won't have this chance again. Right now, we have a majority. We have to stay on that path. We have to get another SCOTUS pick here, hopefully soon. Ruth. But that's the way to heal is to win, and to start bringing people who were in the middle over to the side of reason. Because if you've noticed, the Democrat Party is not what it used to be. It used to be, two sides of the same bird, and now everybody's who is in the middle is kind of drifting towards the right, and all that's left on the left is extreme socialism and just crazy fascists. Like Antifa, BLM, Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, she wants to abolish, she wants us to be a democracy and demolish our democratic republic entirely and just destroy the whole system. I mean, that's what you have on that side now. And so the only way to heal is to walk away from that. Walk away.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Deanna, before we change topics on this whole Kavanaugh confirmation?
Right. I think that we need to continue to stay really, really fired up and motivated. And we have to maintain power in this midterms. I mean, it's so important. It's basically like another 2016 election. It's that important, because if we want to keep what we have going on, if we want to keep our economy booming, if we want to continue to have the freedoms that we have and the kind of...
Oh, hello?
Oh, did we lose? We lost Deanna.
Oh, I think we lost Deanna. Oh, she's coming back.
I'm here.
Are you here, Deanna?
I'm here, yes.
Oh,
Okay,
you're back.
gotcha.
You're back.
Yeah.
Continue.
It's like another Trump versus Hillary Clinton election. It's really that important for our culture, for our country. For our freedom, because if they get an inch, we see what they do when they're not in power. All right. So when they're in power just a little bit, if we give them an inch, they're going to take the entire thing back. Right. And we're going to have a complete regression of all the progress we've made so far. It's going to be really destructive. Men can say goodbye to their rights, because it's a scary place for men to be alive in the world that Democrats wish to create for them. And I can't fathom it. Like, I really can't imagine if they take any power. So we need to, what Rihanna said, get the any kind of sane and rational people that may be a little on the fence or be really turned off by what just happened with Kavanaugh, and welcome them with open arms and use that to bring them over to the right side.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the culture war in our next segment, because we're going to talk about Taylor Swift causing a little bit of a commotion right after this. Stay with us.
When I say Kavanaugh, you say no. Kavanaugh. When I say Kavanaugh, you say no. Kavanaugh.
First time ever anywhere.
When I say Kavanaugh, you say no. Kavanaugh.
The United States of America, Donald.
When I say Kavanaugh, you say no.
You adjust the microphone as you told, man.
Welcome back to The Better View. So, it seems nobody expected Taylor Swift to ever get political, and her Sunday night post on Instagram on the upcoming Tennessee Senate race sent shockwaves swiftly through social media. Did you see what I did there?
I saw what you did.
Okay, you saw what I did. All right. So I'm glad you appreciate it. Somebody did. This 28-year-old superstar took to Instagram on Sunday night to weigh in on Tennessee's closely contested Senate race between Democratic former Governor Phil Bredesen, and U.S. Representative Marsha Blackburn, the Republican nominee. So she endorsed Bredesen and offered a harsh rebuke of Blackburn, saying her voting record in Congress appalls and terrifies me. So, of course, social media went absolutely ballistic one way or the other. I mean, what a world we live in when Kanye West is MAGA and Taylor Swift has gone liberal. So, Rihanna, what were your thoughts?
My thoughts were, what universe are we in right now? What line of reality are we writing right now? It's so weird. It's almost like it's scripted because, I mean, was it like 10 years ago when Kanye went on stage and interrupted her Grammy speech or whatever and said she didn't deserve it? And they've kind of been at odds ever since. Like, he put jokes about it in a song and she made a jab at him at one of her other announcements. So now they're like at odds again, but this time politically, because politics is like the new pop culture, right? It's so crazy. And who would have thought? I mean, when she first started out, she was like this little country singer, right? So you would think it would be the other way around. But I mean, that's MAGA for you. You just never know who you're going to get.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's just like, I love 2018. You have Kanye West who's going to a meeting at the White House.
Taylor
Swift is just like, bashing Republicans. So I mean, how much?
It wasn't the candidate that she was vouching for? Didn't he have some scandals with women? I was reading something about it.
I'm not too sure.
Some kind of abusive scandal that was covered up or something.
You're right.
Which is pretty ironic.
Yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah, it definitely rings a bell.
That would be great if that were true.
I gotta look it up.
Yeah, we definitely have to do a little bit more research on that. But, Deanna, how much weight do these celebrity endorsements carry? I mean, are people going to run to the polls voting for Bredesen because of Taylor Swift?
Yeah, I wish that weren't the case, but sadly, because a lot of people are pretty asleep and dumb and not woke, they do actually hold a lot of weight. I mean, apparently, according to the statistic or the poll, that 62,000 new people registered to vote in the 24 hours following Taylor Swift's tweet. So unfortunately, a lot of people do listen to these influencers. And I want to know which Soros operative paid Swift to say this, because, it's just too coincidental. We have this huge turning of the tide. We have the Republican base that's really fired up. We have, we have confirmation of Kavanaugh just over the weekend. It's like, okay, what can we do now to sabotage the Republican efforts? And now here she comes, someone who's from the South, who's from Tennessee. And she actually, what I heard before, she actually did align a little bit more with Republican views before. But now she just goes and bashes the Republican seat and endorses the Democrat seat. I think it's just it's sad. And I feel like the Democrats are up to their dirty tricks once again. I just have this feeling it wasn't actually entirely from her mind. I think that she was put up to it. And I think it's just to sabotage our efforts and kill our steam as much as possible, because they do have a lot of weight. They do carry a lot of weight for Democrats. For us, they don't, because most Republicans are free thinkers. Most conservatives think, we don't like to be told what to do and how to think and who to vote for. We like to decide that on our own and research our own issues. So for conservatives, those celebrity endorsements don't really matter. For Democrats, who she's pandering to, they do. And that's what worries me just a little bit.
You know, I had to look into her Instagram, and I had to go and look up all of the policies that she's trying to bag Marsha Blackburn on, and I had a field day because I am a font of useless information. I can tell you when acts, the year that they were passed. I have this historical mind. It's a little frightening to me sometimes, but she's going off on Marsha Blackburn voting against the Violence Against Women Act. And even the ACLU, which is so left-wing, is against this act because it would step on the Constitution. It's so invasive, especially with the Fourth Amendment, that if it did get to a Supreme Court challenge, it would never stand up to, I mean, it would be like a 9-0 judgment. That's how invasive it is and how it steps on the Constitution. And as far as the Equal Pay Act that Taylor Swift references Marsha Blackburn voting against, the Equal Pay Act was passed in 1963. Now, Marsha Blackburn, let's do a little math, okay? Marsha Blackburn is 66 years old. So she would have had to be 11 years old at the time of that vote. And that didn't happen unless you're using Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez math, okay? That's like some Common Core math going on there. So, and she doesn't even know what she's talking about. And she probably parroted something that she heard somebody saying, oh, it sounds good. I'm going to sound really smart and talk about it. Well, you sound like a moron. Stick to not being able to keep a man. Come on, Taylor.
I know. Seriously.
It's not for people like you, Tracy. It's for the uninformed voter that it just sounds good to. They're like, oh, Violence Against Women Act. Oh, she opposes that? What a monster. Can't vote for her.
Exactly right. Now, do you think, Rihanna, does this hurt Taylor Swift's career? Does it help it, or does it do nothing?
I think we've seen a trend. We know how the economy is trending, and it's conservative. And anytime you do anything MAGA or in Trump's name, the money just goes through the roof. And anytime you don't, you plummet. I mean, the NFL and Nike are a perfect example. And Nike likes to try and whip up that arbitrary number that, oh, we created X amount of millions of dollars in activity because of our Kaepernick ad, but they actually lost money in their stock. So there's the perceived value of people talking about you is not the same as actual money. So no, it's not going to really be good for her as far as her career goes. Either that or it might not even matter because she's kind of irrelevant to begin with. I know, Deanna, you said that you're worried about her being an influencer, but the fact that she was only able to get like 51,000 people to register to vote. And by the way, the article didn't even say how they registered. It didn't specify that they registered as Democrat. So we don't even know that it was 51,000 Democrat voters that registered. And it's a drop in the bucket compared to all of the Republicans that are registering. And the fact that we are still at an all-time high for approval, it's an irrelevant number. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't concern me in the least.
And I think that, I would think that a lot of her demographic, their country watchers, they like country. A lot of them, I think, are from the country or maybe Republicans. And what it hurting them the most, it hurting the Republicans the most. I think it's true because, a lot of when we see something like Kaepernick on top of the Nike ad, then we want to instantly boycott, right? We want to say, okay, I'm burning my Nike shoes or I'm burning my Taylor Swift CDs. I'm never going to buy anything from her again. I'm going to cancel my concert tickets. That's what we're probably going to do, or what her viewers or listeners probably are going to do who are Republican. Whereas the Democrats, they often can't afford a lot of things anyways, and they'll probably continue being her. But I think that you'll see a more rapid loss of support from her through any of her conservative fans.
Yeah, what happened to the In-N-Out boycott? The In-N-Out line at my In-N-Out is like crazy long every day. that worked out well, didn't it?
Chick-fil-A.
We don't have In-N-Out. We only have 2 Chick-fil-A's where I live, and they're very far from me. So I'm very deprived. As you can see, I'm just wasting away over here. So
you have to take a trip out here.
I'm going to have to. But I'm going to switch gears a little bit because last week we ended the show in such a way that it created quite the stir. We were talking about bad dates, and this went viral. This was 22 rules for dating this particular young lady. So this list was shared on Twitter by a guy who found the list in a used car that he had purchased, but he then deleted this list because people thought it was his own girlfriend and she was getting harassed. But anyway, so he finds this list in this used car that he just purchases, and it had 22 rules for dating this young lady, and they were pretty interesting. Like, you are not to follow girls on any social media. You are not allowed to drink unless I'm with you. If I catch you around girls, I'll kill you. If I say jump, you say hi, princess. Hillary Clinton, was this your list for Bill? Was this your list, Hillary?
Probably.
Rihanna, have you ever had any rules for a boyfriend?
I mean, I've had basic rules, but nothing in writing and nothing that crazy. Like, I mean, there's like, relationship 101 stuff, like don't cheat on me, don't lie to me, like that kind of thing. But like, if I had a kind of guy, if I said jump and he said how high, princess, that would just not work out. Like, I'm a very strong and hard-headed individual, very fiery. And if I didn't have somebody that could go toe-to-toe to me and I could just steamroll him, I would make a little sissy out of him, and it just wouldn't work. And that's awful. No man should ever. I have sons. If they ever dated a girl that had rules like that, I'd be like, run.
Oh yeah, this girl seems like a head case. I don't know what the issue is.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, my one rule on there though that I like. And I never put rules on anybody because it's just not who I am, and I honestly don't have time for that. But the whole thing about social media, because I find it so disheartening to date in this day and age, and you think things are going well, and then you see the guy you're dating, make a comment on social media, like, and it's never like a picture of a young lady who's dressed demurely and she's, lunching with her grandma. It's always like the bikini hoe on Instagram. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh, baby, you look hot. And I think it's just so disheartening. I can't stand it. Deanna, what do you think?
Yeah, well, right now we're living in this terrible age of just unlimited options, where guys think that they have unlimited options and the grass is always greener. And you're looking on things like social media, you're looking on Facebook, you're looking on Instagram, and you're a part of these things. And I would never want to be someone who would ban my boyfriend or husband from Instagram in general or Facebook in general. It's also good for business and networking. But there's so many things that come through and so many girls that he sees every day then from there. Then you can't help but be wondering, are they thinking about them instead of me? Are they tempted to message them? Are they tempted to go on a date with them? So temptation is always in people's faces. And I think that it is a good rule to have basic respect and say, hey, if we're going to be dating or together, you shouldn't be posting comments on girls wearing bikinis, Facebook posts, right? Or pictures. And I think, that's the thing. We live in this age where most of these rules were just absolutely cray. But some of them I'm like, okay, I can understand where she's coming from a little bit. Don't have a single girl's phone number. Maybe don't follow them on social media. I do want to know who Mo is or Keegan, because she really and she has a vroom vroom next to the Honda, whatever that means. She seems like a controlling, crazy biatch. But, some of these rules, I think we have to talk about them with our significant other, and how often do you like someone who has a single girl profile, and, are they allowed to be friends with you? Because those things can easily cause temptation and cheating. And you don't want to be a control freak, but you also don't want to lose your partner over something like this either, right?
Yeah, I see it. I'm a single woman, and I have married male friends that will comment on my pictures, and not even that bad, but I find it inappropriate. Or I'll get the inbox messages about that I look really good and they're married. I find that highly inappropriate, and I tell them so. I say I feel like it's highly inappropriate to message somebody when you're in a relationship. And not for nothing, a lot of these girls are all filtered up, Snapchat filters, this Photoshop app, this app. They don't even, did you ever meet somebody in real life that you've seen on social media and you're like, oh my gosh, they look like a completely different person? So, it's a nightmare scenario. So, Rihanna, any final thoughts?
Yeah, social media really kind of changed the game, and you're right. A list of rules is really nuts. But yeah, conversation does have to be had. I mean, some type of standard has to be made of what's respectable and respectful. And you and your partner should be able to have the communication to agree on that. And the most important thing is that you both have the same values, so you have to find somebody that has those same values and that also has the maturity to understand that social media is really not always real. And because it seems like we have that culture now of always looking for the next best thing, always swiping on the next picture, and everything is temporary and instant. And that can be really damaging in the relationship world. I'm lucky enough to not be stuck there right now, because I'm engaged, but it's a mad world out there. And so, yeah, you have to set some kind of boundaries and have some kind of understanding. And I'm glad that you tell people when they message you straight up that's inappropriate.
Oh, I am like,
because it's not fair for them to put that responsibility onto us, because it's like, I actually had a good friend who was married or engaged. This is before she got married, and her husband to be inboxed me on Facebook. This was years ago. And messaged me and was telling me, you look so beautiful tonight at their, it was some holiday party that they hosted together. And it made me so uncomfortable because now the responsibility is mine, you jerk. Like now you put me in the position to where I have to say something to you. And now I have to decide, okay, how am I going to tell my friend this while she's planning her wedding? And now I'm the awkward rock in the middle because, when I say something to her, is that going to put a wedge between her and I because of you, even though I didn't do anything? Like, don't be jerks. Use your social media wisely.
Yeah, and then you have the other side of the coin. I had this happen to me recently where I have a friend who received an award, and I, said congratulations to him. And the crazy, jealous wife came after me. I'm like, honey, I don't even want 97% of the men I have. I don't want your man. That's of all the people you would have to worry about, it is certainly not me. So it's definitely a new ball game out there. Deanna, you get the last word on this.
Well, I mean, I had a boyfriend one time that was, every time I looked at his phone, it seemed like there was some picture of a naked girl or a girl in a swimsuit in it or something like that. And I was like, who's this? Now, the first few times he was like, oh, I'm trying to set up this girl with my brother and, just checking her out. I'm going to set her up with my brother. I'm like, okay. And then it happened like 2 other times. And I'm like, wait, who made you Match.com? Are you like you have to get these girls in bikinis and scope them out first before you set them up with your brother. So it didn't take me too long to figure it out that yes, he was a player. He was meeting these girls on social media. But I think that when you're in a committed relationship, and I think if you're either engaged or married, I do think that it's okay to change passwords. And there should be no secrets. You should both have each other's passwords for Facebook or Instagram or Gmail. And if there's nothing to hide, then what is there, really, what's the problem with sharing passwords with things? I think
I don't have any of Brendan's passwords.
Really?
I've never had any boyfriend's passwords. I've never had.
I absolutely, I don't even feel a need to look at it. I don't care to even have it. It's just not even a concern in my mind. And I think that's the kind of relationship that you should have, to where you don't need his passwords and you don't need to check through his phone, and you don't feel that the need to try and catch him up on something. I mean,
yeah, no, I don't think that you should be swooping through people's phones or anything, but I'm just saying if you guys sort of just have each other's passwords in case you ever wanted to, I don't think that should be an issue. I think that you should have a relationship that requires trust and full transparency. But if you feel the need to keep snooping in someone's phone, then I think that's a deeper problem in the relationship.
Yeah, I think that the best thing you can be is transparent. Like, if you don't want to be exclusive and you want to date around, just be upfront and say that, and say, I'm not ready to settle down yet. I like you. I like spending time with you, but I don't want to get serious yet. That's okay. That is okay. If you both want that, that's fine. And then if you feel like that's not what you want anymore, and you say, hey, I really like you, I want to be exclusive with you, just say that. And the more transparent and honest you are, the easier it is for everybody. And then you can do whatever it is you want to do without breaking any hearts. I don't understand why that is so hard for people.
The truth is very hard for people. We want to know what you have to think about tonight's episode. So hashtag and tweet us, hashtag the better view, tweet at us, and we'll get back to you and we'll continue the discussion. So we're going to end tonight's show with our thumbs up, thumbs down for the week. So Rihanna, we'll start with you, your thumbs up and thumbs down.
My thumbs up for the week goes out to this video I saw of this incredible young woman who I didn't see the backstory on how she was injured, but she only has one leg. And she's like this phenomenal bodybuilder, and she can deadlift more than I can on her one single leg. It was just amazing. I mean, to be able to overcome whatever she went through and to be able to be stronger than most of us are with both of our legs was really inspiring. And I retweeted the video of it. It's on my Twitter if you want to go take a look at it. But she's just incredible. Huh?
I said, well, I'll have to go take a look at that.
Yeah, she's amazing. Super inspiring. So it really actually motivated me because I'm like, what am I complaining about?
And I'm going to give up those donuts. I'm not going to be able to eat them now. So what was your thumbs down?
No, we do the weights for the donuts. Eat the
donuts. What was your thumbs down of this week?
My thumbs down this week was actually Taylor Swift because I think she's such a dork for trying to get political. And it's just like, honey, what are you doing? Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You can't even argue any of the points you brought up. Like, yikes. Thumbs down. Just go make your terrible music. I mean, I never liked her music to begin with, honestly. It feels like she's just been insisted upon for years. Like, she tried to do the pop thing, and she was just everywhere. And I don't think it was because her music was any good. I think she was just signed whatever contract she was supposed to sign to get on that replay cycle and get in front of every camera for a while. And now she thinks that her opinions on politics are important when she clearly is a bad judge of character.
Now, I'm almost afraid to ask Deanna what her thumbs up and thumbs down. After last week, I'm almost afraid. So we'll keep this PG or NC-17.
So my thumbs up was definitely getting Kavanaugh confirmed. I was down going into the Capitol. I was waiting outside on the steps, trying to get in to actually see the vote come out, take down. But unfortunately, we didn't get in. So we raced back to the Trump Hotel to watch it on the big screen. And it was just really, really cool to watch this whole process, to watch the whole vote go down. And then everyone inside the Trump Hotel bar was screaming and saying, Happy New Year. And it was just a really beautiful moment to feel so vindicated. So I would say definitely the thumbs up was being able to be right in DC in the Trump Hotel, watching that momentous Kavanaugh vote. My thumbs down, I would say I came across a Times magazine article the other day that was very annoying. And it said, hey, in order to achieve full gender equality, we're going to have to do something that Republicans hate most, which is bigger government. And I couldn't believe the spin on that, how they're trying to spin like, oh, hey, Democrats and liberals, if you want to achieve true gender equality, unfortunately, we're going to have to sacrifice a little bit of your freedom and have bigger government figuring all this stuff out for you.
That's crazy. It's just right in your face. Like, it's right in your face what their agenda is.
Yeah.
It's just more control, more government, more enslaving.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense.
I love how it's so blatant in our face now, and they just kind of twist it and and they package it to make it sound all nice. Like, hey, sheep, like, I know you want gender equality, so you're going to have to just sacrifice more of your freedom. So it's like, here's the propaganda, make it pink for women and blue with block writing for men and rainbow for,
control in different colors.
Right. And how mindless people are that just absorb that, like, okay, doop-de-doo, there goes my freedom.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's just
I'll send you guys this article. We can post it. It's
definitely. We'll have to tweet that out. And I have to say, my thumbs down of the week goes to Samantha Ness, who was a teacher's assistant in, is it Minnesota? I always get Minnesota and Missouri confused. But anyway, she wrote a tweet on Twitter, obviously, because that's where you write tweets, that said, so who's going to take one for the team and kill Kavanaugh? So I heard that she has now been suspended from her teaching position in school, thank goodness. And if you see a picture of this woman, her eyebrows are just horrible.
Bad.
Needs a microblading. Because those
Honey, you could get a
eyebrows.
Groupon for that, please.
Oh, girl, I will start a GoFundMe for your brows because I can't look at you. I just
love it.
And my thumbs up, I'm going to leave it on a positive, is through all the chaos Saturday when Brett Kavanaugh got confirmed, there were a lot of protesters. So, of course, there were a lot of hungry cats all over the D.C. area because of all the women to go protest. But anyway, in the middle of the chaos is this one guy who's so chill, and he's holding up a blue and white sign that just simply says, I like beer. So my thumbs up goes to you because I, too, like beer.
Yes.
And so does our new justice.
Hashtag beers for Brett.
Beers for Brett.
Beers for Brett.
You know, another great high note, we can already start really celebrating Kavanaugh is because his first day on the job, he already hired all of his staffers are all women, and one of them is black. So he's already beat Ruth Bader Ginsburg's record because I think out of 100 staffers that she's ever hired, only one was black.
Wow,
So,
Brett Kavanaugh is such
he's
a
already breaking
misogynist.
records.
I love that. In your face, Democrats.
So, Rihanna, just to sum up, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter @_Hublette. Underscore is a little line @_Hublette.
Little line before the hublet. And what about you, Deanna?
Deanna Lorraine 7 on YouTube and Twitter.
Okay, great. And I'm Tracy Belmonte. You can find me at Real Politidiva because I love politics and I never met lip gloss I didn't like. So with that, we'll see you next week, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.